The Houston Rockets offseason is upon us. Yesterday, we heard from both head coach Ime Udoka and GM Rafael Stone about the future of the team. As far as tipping their hand, they did not do that. They said often continuity is what we're looking for, that the bar for change is very high, that plan A is to develop our current group, becoming more consistent with our current group, thanks to the learning experience of these playoffs. Development, a huge deal for everybody. But at the same time, they said no one is untouchable. They also were asked about Jalen Green. I'm not going to play the entirety of their comments about Jalen Green because they were 3 minutes and 17 seconds. It was a lot of time spent on Jalen Green. In a nutshell, they both mentioned how much attention the Warriors threw at Jalen Green. And if you want to be Jalen Green's defense lawyer, what happened in last night's Warriors Timberwolves game? The Warriors swarmed all over, also 23 years old, Anthony Edwards. He looked terrible in that game. He wasn't beating those double teams. Perhaps the Warriors defense is, as they say, him. Or would it be they, them, it, whatever?
I don't know if they want to be called they, them.
Yeah, I don't know if they have a gender.
Walk up to Draymond Green.
Draymond Green was awesome.
They, them? Yeah, I mean, they did force Anthony Edwards to be 9 of 22, but that is 23 points. That would have been by far the second best game Jalen Green played.
Damn it, I'm doing Rockets propaganda too.
That's like 2 combined Jalen Green games.
Thank you for pushing back on it, because a lot of people are like, was I too early out on Anthony Edwards? Yeah, I mean, there was a moment where he had like 8 points.
He did a Steph Curry in Game 7 where he scored 1 point in the first half, and then he scored 22 in the second half.
Okay, well, that's a lot. And Jalen Green did have 38 in the game, but he also scored 11, 12 points or less in every other game of the series. So, yeah, I think we do have to be fair with the Warriors defense versus Edwards, and the Warriors defense versus Green. Clearly, one player is better than the other.
And you can't do full-on Jalen Green victory lap, as I'm sure people are gearing up to.
Like they did after Game 2.
Yeah, that's why you kind of,
7-game series.
Let's not wait until 7 games. Let's not do one half. Let's watch them play the second half and see what happens. But I do think there is some truth to, like, the Warriors defense is very, very good. And they were giving Anthony Edwards a lot of trouble. It's just that you see Anthony Edwards has that extra gear to where he can still, even on an off night, take over.
There was a moment during yesterday's press conference that I ranted a little bit about on yesterday's show. Jackson Gatlin, who is the host of the Locked On Rockets podcast and covers the Houston Rockets, he's there pretty much for every single game, brought up some data. He didn't share the data with the class, but he said that there's data that suggests that the Rockets are better when they have a lineup that doesn't feature Jalen Green. Here's how his exchange with Rockets GM Rafael Stone went.
There's a decent amount of lineup data that suggests that this team has performed better without Jalen Green on the court this season. How much do you incorporate that kind of data into your decision-making process moving forward, be it roster construction, coaching decisions, that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a really flawed question. So, like, we have there's great data that we have and we use. But I can one of my Ime would know, one of my favorite things, and I tell him when we have new coaches join, my one of my favorite things to tell them is I can make data say whatever I want it to say. And so, I think we heavily use it, but we're very careful to try and really parse it out. And I would say that I would say that some of our very best lineups include him, and so that piece by itself, I just think that's just not correct.
It took him a while to really not say anything in that answer. Some people, myself included, took issue with the condescension with which he answered that question. because I look at Rafael Stone and, well, I think he's done a good job the last couple of years. I also feel like you can't really talk down to anybody when you're running a 2 seed that lost to a 7 seed in the first round of the playoffs. Obviously, it's a different kind of 7 seed, but let's stop acting like you're the greatest GM ever. You're taking over for Daryl Morey, who was significantly better than you at that side of things. But he's done well the last 2 years. I'm willing to extend an olive branch. But as I watch this press conference, you could tell that Rafael Stone is feeling himself quite a bit. He was really smug. Really smug. And this moment in particular, and I did a clip about this on my live stream last night, Gallant Says podcast. I lost my mind when I saw this because it's not just how Rafael Stone says what you're about to hear. It's also the looking dead ahead image of Ime Udoka, who does not react in any way to Rafael Stone bringing him into this weird flex that he makes.
There's great data that we have and we use, but I can one of my Ime would know one of my favorite things, and I tell him when we have new coaches join, my one of my favorite things to tell them is I can make data say whatever I want it to say,
I can make data say whatever I want it to say. By the way, a lot of stumbling before you get to that flex. So it's, I don't know, a little Elon-esque. Oh, Paul, Elon's the savior of the country. Yeah, but he's not a great public speaker. He's not. And flexing like that, sorry. Shut up, nerd. Shut up, nerd. I can manipulate the data. You're a nerd. Shut up. Shut up. That was my gut reaction when I heard that moment during the presser. And again, Stone's a lot of good, but imagine if one of your friends said that to you. Wouldn't you tell him to shut up, nerd? Yeah, I can manipulate the data any way I want. Nerd. N-E-R-D. Hell, maybe even a dork. Maybe both. Nerd. Hate that. I can manipulate the data any way I want it. Yes, that's how data works, by the way. Are you flexing about that? Literally everyone has done that for the entirety of the history of data. I can manipulate data any way I want. Get lost. And again, Stone's done a good job. That comment annoyed me so much in that press conference.
It's also like the Jalen Green data. It's
our eyes.
It's pretty stark too. Like it's not like it is literally the lineups that have Alperen Şengün out there without Jalen Green, huge plus. The ones that have Fred VanVleet out there without Jalen Green, huge plus. The ones that, and just go down the line, take out Jalen Green, and they're all huge pluses. And then you put them in with Jalen Green, and it's smaller pluses. They're still pluses to their credit, but it is still like there's 8 points of difference between how positive these lineups are with it, or how these pairings of players are. Now, what I assume his data is 5-man units, combining all 5 of them and also sneaking in Jalen Green and showing how good those are, as opposed to the 5-man with them out there. But it's something where I knew he wasn't going to get up there and be like, Jackson Gatlin, you're right. This guy stinks.
Jalen Green's a bum.
We would have won the series if he was Colin Sexton. He probably wasn't going to say that.
We would have won with Deshaun Nixon there instead of Jalen Green. That's obviously.
I wish we still had Kevin Porter Jr.
He might. Honestly.
He had to go and ruin it. Don't ask how he ruined it. Don't ask how he ruined it. Pointing at everyone.
Look, I'm with you on that. There are definitely ways to show that Jalen Green actually is, a guy with upside and does fit in well with some of these players.
I saw someone who say that Jalen Green isn't a top 10 player in the 2021 draft, in his draft class.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know about that. You can top 5, you can talk me into once you get to 10. And the rebuttal is someone just screenshotted the points by every guy in that draft class, sorted by who's at the top. Jalen Green has by far the most points in that draft class. And there is a value to just putting the ball in the basket.
For sure. And I was listening to Richard Jefferson on Ryan Russillo's podcast, and Richard Jefferson, now one of the voices that you'll hear on ESPN and ABC broadcasts of the playoffs and the NBA finals. And Jefferson said, look, with Amen Thompson, as Thompson develops a shot, which will take time, and it's not going to perhaps happen even next year, there is a lot that Jalen Green, who is clearly a more skilled player than Amen Thompson in terms of his just ability to do things with the basketball, that they could potentially, help each other out with. And a lot of people are out on Green. I'm not entirely out on Green. I'm not. I'm really not. But at the same time, I felt the Rockets, and specifically Rafael Stone, not Ime Udoka. Udoka's been to a finals and was with the Celtics. I'm that guy has belts on the wall. If he tells me something, I'm probably going to say, yes, sir. Rafael Stone doing it. I'm sorry. You were here during the Steven Silas years. We don't forget. It wasn't that long ago, From the 281, it's dumb how none of these guys can be like, yeah, he struggled. We still believe in it. We're going to stand behind him and help him get better. You're right. All they had to do was lie there. They really did. And again, it's one moment. I thought Rafael Stone actually had some moments in the press conference where I liked hearing what he said. But that moment right there annoyed me on a lot of different levels, and I felt the need to rant about it. So there you go. It is the Paul Gallant Show, after all.
Yeah, the ums and the stuttering and all that, that's like the actual, like, hey, how do you think about Jalen Green? How the fact this team's way better with Jalen Green off the court. And it's a lot of, because it is a hard thing to defend. It is a hard, because like you pointed out a couple minutes ago, I think you also pointed out in your tweet when you quote tweeted this, is that this isn't just like deep analytics, advanced statistics, and like looking for tiny things. It also matches when you watch the game that he's struggling out there.
And against that Warriors team, who obviously had a big role to play against Green and in his struggles, that is a factor that you can certainly bring up. But this is a tough decision that the Rockets are going to have to make this offseason. And all they had to say when they were asked about this here is say, Green is an unbelievably skilled player. He had a rough series. We believe in him. We know he's going to work hard this summer, and we can't wait to see him this fall. Even if you're going to trade him, you can say that. You can say that.
You can just lie.
These guys can lie. I'm not asking for them to lie necessarily. I know they do. This is one of the reasons that you got to take all these press conferences with a grain of salt. And there's times where I wonder if it's even worth going to it. Every now and then players will share something introspective. But when it comes to coaches and GMs, they have been so coached that they are supposed to, basically, when they're answering a question, like just find a way to dodge it. And a lot of people were saying, well, why even ask the question? Because he shouldn't give you the right answer. And okay, fair. But I mean, for Jalen Green, pushing back like that doesn't work with me. And I don't need Rafael Stone flexing quite yet.